Oké, Dexter Gordon wordt het. Applaus voor Dexter Gordon. Kees Slinger en Jacques Scholz aan het werk. Dexter Gordon! Jesse Paradiso, Dexter Gordon. Dexter Gordon. Black man. Man is a horse. Dexter Gordon.
That's the card for our. Hello everyone, welcome to our March INCOSE meeting. We'll have some announcements before we start with our speaker today. We have a McLean location and also 3 other locations that are joining us remotely. George Mason University at Fairfax, Vancouver at Chantilly, and Nobles in Washington, D.C. Thank you all the remote locations for joining in and also our sponsors. So we would like to recognize anyone here who is first time at an INCOSE event. Anyone? Okay. So are you Steve, first time at the INCOSE? Oh, okay. You're pointing at her. Okay. Welcome. Yeah, I know. We know that very well. You have been here since when the chapter was established, right?
No, not quite. I've been here 9 times.
Okay, great. Any board of director members present here? Gina, do you want to stand up? Be recognized? Okay. And also, Steve is our director for Americas, which is the central repository for all the US and Central America and South America chapters, right, Steve? Canada too, yeah. Oh, yeah. And also Mexico, right? So we have basically the whole North America covered. Any recently certified ASCP, CSCP, ESCP? Okay.
I passed the exam.
Okay, then you are CSCP.
Not quite.
Well, it will take some time, yeah.
Application and stuff.
Yep, I passed it last year, and it took me like 2 months to get certified. So INCOSE has a pretty good process. Okay, for any one of you who's looking to get certified as a systems engineering professional, we have a event coming up on March 19th. It's not this Saturday, the next Saturday, from 8 to 12 at GMU in Fairfax. And that we will cover the systems engineering professional, what the qualifications are, and what the exam covers. So any level you are at in your systems engineering career, you can take this exam and be certified as a systems engineering professional. Now we have a conference coming up pretty soon from March 31st to April 2nd. And we will have the conferences held at the Westfield Marriott and the tutorials held at the George Mason University in Fairfax. So I would like to invite Steve, who is the chair of the steering committee for the conference, to come and say a few words. I can give him my mic.
Great, thank you. So most of you know about the conference, and I heard the number of people are signed up and registered. So anybody who hasn't, please do as soon as possible. We've got a great agenda. We have James Woolsey, and most of you probably know who he is, but he's former director of the CIA. He's an expert on electromagnetic pulse, and he's going to be talking about that and cyber security. So very cool guy. And then the other one is Bill Murtaugh, who's the he currently works at the Office of Science and Technology Policy at the White House, and he is an expert in space weather. So he'll make space weather be interesting. Okay, so we have that, and of course the tutorials, and also on Saturday is the actual CSEP exam. Courtney Wright's going to be here and administer that exam. So that's another opportunity for you. Once you've taken the workshop and got yourself ready and studied the book, right? Studied the handbook, then you should be able to take the test, and it should be great. So any questions about what's going on with SCDC or what we're doing? Yeah.
The test that you're just like, okay. The test that you're talking about, how do we sign up for it? Is there a
So Daniel's working a link for that, right?
It was sent out yesterday. It's on the registration page.
It's on the registration page. So yeah, go ahead and
So
sign
go
up
to
there.
this website and you will find the link there.
Yep. So, okay. And tell all your friends about it. We want to have a big turnout. Okay.
And the exam will be paper-based, so it's
Yes.
more relaxed than the
And
looking at the.
And by the
screen.
way, if you haven't been here before, the best conference food ever. Okay, it is incredible. I couldn't believe how good. It's better than the IW was. Much better. So they really do it right here. So it's that Southern hospitality. So. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Presenter for today, we have Janet Cook. She will talk about the creative systems thinking, which is very interesting topic. I always find it very interesting. Most of the work I have done on systems thinking is all math. So this is very, probably will have a lot more insight into that. Janet has quite a bit experience working on different aspects. She got her master's in speech pathology and audiology from the San Diego State. And she also had a bachelor's in linguistics from UC Berkeley. She's a certified PMP. And she worked with the University of Maryland Language Research Center, where she developed a meta-analysis sort of test, which is currently used by the DoD and the intelligence community for, I think, screening and some other purposes. So Janet has a lot of interest on workplace creativity, systems thinking. So let's hear our today's presentation from Janet.
See, I start out breaking the rules. Dan said, don't walk over here. Okay, Mohammed, may I leave these with you in case anyone else comes? Good, sure, okay, thank you. I'm so pleased to be here tonight. I've had a long time to look forward to this, and I began my preparations reading about systems thinking, systems engineering, game playing for systems people. Gina, you are correct. She told me, you're probably more of a systems thinker than you realize, and I think that's true. And reading what I did gave me the idea that this is like turning a corner and finding a whole new way to look at things. I really appreciate the opportunity to do that, to be with you tonight. As Homo sapiens, as a species, we developed. It became clear to people looking backward that as a species, we have an absolutely, well, I say absolutely with a lot of confidence. We have an unprecedented ability to innovate and to share that information with other people And those two abilities primarily catapulted us as a species far out of the realm of where other animals were. I launched that sentence with absolutely, and I'm thinking, don't say that, don't say that. Discoveries happening daily in neuroscience are throwing out the window ideas that we've held for a long time, near and dear. I'm going to throw some sacred cows right out that window tonight. And I started thinking, oh, I have a dog now, and he's pretty incredible. He amazes me with how he thinks and how he processes. So, on the other hand, what I can safely say, and I hope you'll agree, is that we are designed as a species to make things better, to make things, and then make them better, make them faster, how to make more of them. And we are designed to share that information and grow. And ideas pop up around the world in radically different cultures, different times and places. It's almost like when an idea's time to come, there it is, and it pops up in more than one place. Side view of the brain. Here goes the first cow. Of course, your brain does not look like this. And scientists used to say, well, big left brain, right brain, creativity, balance. You need your left brain does this, and the left brain is analytical and sequential, and the right brain is spatial and feelings oriented. Findings in neuroscience have outdated even some of the understandings that I provided 9 months ago to the Silver Spring group. And I could show you flashy, dancy pictures of brains firing with creativity. What's known now is that it's left brain, right brain division of creativity is vastly oversimplified. That when people are wired up with fMRI receivers, creativity sparks all over the place. It sparks in radically different hemispheres at the moment when someone has that aha feeling, I've got it, all over the place. And in a way that makes sense. We've had that. I'm going to share with you some experiences that I hope will evoke that reaction in you tonight. You won't feel the individual connections, of course, but in that moment when you have a creative experience, it's happening many places in your brain. I'll rest my point on that. First opportunity, in your folders, you'll see an index card, which you can just set aside. The lines are up, so just set it down on the table. On the blank piece of paper, I want you to take a look at this simple line drawing and start jotting down as swiftly as you can as many things that you can think of that might be. Let yourself cut loose. I have a few extra pens if anybody needs. Some of you are still writing. Give you another 10 or 15 seconds. Some of you are so fed up you just can't believe it. Don't worry. Okay, you can go on writing if things come to you, but let me ask, what did you come up with? Anyone? Sorry?
Top hat.
A top hat. Lori?
A frame for a swing, a building, or a square.
Okay, okay. Construction frame, building something to build, frame. Who
Jack
else?
in the box.
Jack in the box.
Popping out.
Yep, ready to come. Good.
One of those gym bars, not
Uh-huh.
but just a single bar.
Yeah, yep, good.
It's a map of the Singapore subway system.
A top-down view of the building on the street.
Great, 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 great. You guys are warming up, I can tell.
An arbor for grapes or flowers. An arbor for grapes. Or
Okay, yeah,
Ice cube on the tabletop.
an ice cube. Mohammed?
Some foreign character that I have no idea what that is.
Oh, you mean like an alphabet letter, alphabet character in some foreign language? Good.
It's the letter
Yep.
pi upside down.
Uh-huh, yeah, Jen packed off. Yep. Love it, okay.
How about if I say it's green lines projected on the screen?
What could this be? Oh,
a piece that becomes part of a bookshelf when you're assembling a bookshelf, that you have pieces like that.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That
Something like that, yeah.
snap into the wood, yep. What you went through just now is one version of a test that measures flow of ideas, fluency of ideas. This could be so many things, as you saw. It's pretty wide open. And when I remember looking at this the first time and I said a top hat, as someone here did, and the side of a building, and I ran out of ideas pretty fast. I was like, I don't know. Then I listened to the creative ideas, an ice cube on a tabletop. Another speaker said a staple, an alphabet, a Singapore subway system map. When you begin changing the size of this, your perspective of it, maybe multiple uses. Lower your example of a construction frame. The shape is the same, but it would look very different in those different applications. So size, your point of view varies. Someone over here had, depending on how you're looking at it, I don't remember what it was, but I remember the phrase, depending on how you're looking at it. So these are ways, this is the kind of activity that you want when you're brainstorming. And this is one way to get it, honestly. Get people into the mindset of letting ideas just flow. Some of them are going to be, in any situation like this, some of the ideas are going to be really common. You know, everybody's going to see a top hat. I did. Oops, sorry. Then, some of you probably got ideas as you listened to other people say things. Then that made you think of something. That happened to anyone? Yeah. So there's the function. And this is an aspect of creativity. It's one small, major aspect, but only one, fluency, flow of ideas. On that note, change tack. I want you to take the blank index card in your folder and write upon it succinctly, briefly, a problem of your own. And what I mean by problem, I have two criteria for a problem. One is that it be something that you're genuinely stuck on. It's not like, which way am I going to go home tonight? That's not a problem. Unless it becomes one, which I hope it doesn't. But yeah, I'm right. But at this juncture, it's not a problem. But something in your life that is truly keeping you stuck. And it must be something that you care about or that is important for you to resolve. Got a little bit of urgency. Take a minute. Write that out. Any kind of problem. Home, family, work, life. What we did with that first little exercise, by the way, that induced a flow of ideas, we primed you. We primed your brain for further production of creative ideas. Notice the box is green. I did that on purpose. Green is an evidence-based promoter of creative thinking. If you are tasked with helping a team be creative, if you are tasked with being creative yourself, get some green around you. A green room, a green plant, a green shirt. Thank you. Subhash is my plant tonight. Problem you can put aside. We're not going to get back to that for a while. I noticed nobody hesitated when I said write down a problem. Most people, you paused, but most people, oh man, have I got a problem. Good. Another creativity exercise, another idea flow. What could this be? We could do it orally if you want. Yeah. Now you have the idea. Sputnik.
Pin cushion.
Pin cushion.
Paper toy.
Paper toy. Tinker toy.
Paint remover.
What was that? Sorry?
Paint remover.
Oh, yeah.
Your spin blades.
Oh, yeah.
Works real well. Showing the intersection of perpendicular lines.
Mm-hmm.
BB in a window.
Roundabout.
Nice one. Nice one. I like that one. I don't know if you all heard a BB hit the window. And that introduces yet another dimension, time. Because before it got here, it was going like that, and then it hit. And you see it freeze frame, but to do what it did, it had to have, something had to have happened before. Any other? Not quite as easy as that last one, is it? It's more complicated. So it starts narrowing you down, and that big red ball right in the middle, I set you up on this one. It won't be the last time. The big red ball is a deterrent. Red tells us stop. Like green tells us go, be creative, flow, be safe, relaxed. Red says stop. And this is not a scientific study tonight. But I want you to know that if you want people to be creative, don't use red in the materials that you're giving them. This is evidence-based. It will slow people down, inhibit their ideas. Okay, Matthews, I have 3 little problems for you that introduce a different aspect of creative thinking. 3 separate little math problems. I'll give you a few minutes to come up with your best. Who's got an answer for the top problem, Smith?
1 or 2.
Okay. Tell us your reasoning.
Mr. Smith has 7 sisters, or Mr. Smith is the father, and there's 1 brother and 7 sisters.
Mm-hmm. Any other answers? Very nice. Sorry? Could you hear? Yeah. Did anyone like me get a little confused the first time you saw it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Notice you're not alone. I was right with you walking down the path. Notice this one is kind of unique. It's just a tricky assumption underneath that we would naturally make. Each sister has 1 brother. Ambiguous linguistically, I might look down at the deep structure of what that means when you say that. How about water lilies?
The answer you asked?
Sure.
Day 59.
How did you get to that? Day 59, the next to the last day.
I spent a few minutes, but then I realized that you couldn't have the last day, then it's day 59.
Yeah. It has to be half on the day before. It's going to be completely full. Notice it said water lilies double in area. So we're not dealing in numeric counts. It's area that they take up. And all the other stuff is just clutter. Similarly, I've seen this last one reasoned by very intelligent people different ways. So I'm not even sure of the right answer. Who has a thought about it?
Lost $50. Lost $50.
Lost $50. Tell me how you think.
So we bought it for 60, sold it for 70, so we made 10. Then we bought it back for 80, so we lost the 10. He sold it for 90, so we gained the 10. But it cost him 60 to begin with, so 60 minus 10 is 50.
Reasoning from all the way in the beginning. He bought the horse for $60. Sold it for 70. Bought it back for 80, sold it for 90. But there's his original investment. How many of you worked it a different way? Sabash?
I thought it was even.
Came out even.
Came out even.
Uh-huh.
You bought it for 60, sold it for 70, you made $10.
Yeah.
And then you bought it back for 80, which was, and that $10 went. Yeah, and then sold it for 90. So I think it was even.
He broke even.
Total outflows are 60 and 80, so 140. His total inflows are 70 and 90, that's 160, so a net 20.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, net 20.
Net 20.
If you made $20, it's a lot clearer if you just assume, it doesn't matter that the second time it was the same horse. If you just assume it's two horses, it becomes clear that he made $10 the first time and $10 the second time.
Very different. I looked this up on the internet and I watched people's reasoning. Any other solutions to the problem? Anybody diverge from these three? I've seen this problem worked out and people wrote out their reasoning each time.
Well, it depends, right? I mean, if he used that $70 to buy that horse back, he had to add $10 to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever money he made with the first transaction, he spent that money to get it back, and then he sold it for $90. So I guess
I can see
$10.
what that would be. Is it cost?
Depends on what I guess.
It depends on where you step in, where you step into the process. He's got the horse. It depends upon how you define trading also. He bought the first horse. He wasn't trading the first time he bought it. Then he traded it for $10, netted $10 in. Bought it back, traded it a second time. That's the net 40. This was a real systems thinker you heard here. Net inflow, net outflow. But it is looking at trading in a certain way and from a certain point of view. Then he bought the horse in the first place. He started out, in the hole, $60. Well, yes.
But you make the assumption that he just bought the horse. See, if you apply finance to it, then the horse is depreciated.
I like that.
How long he's had the horse.
Yes.
So you figure out what the net value is, and then we'll have to roll from there and do some long-term depreciation.
Thank you for that. There's the factor of time that he bought a horse for $60, but we don't know when he bought that horse. Yeah. Years may have gone by. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your thinking. It's nice hearing how a systems person would approach it. Here we go again. Common uses for a spoon. Slightly different. Oh, sorry, I got to back up. I used the word, but I skipped over a point. This thinking in these questions is a different aspect of creative thinking. Broadly convergent. You often hear divergent thinking. DOD loves that. Divergent thinking. Diverge. That was close. Convergent, coming together. So you've got a problem, one of these little problems in front of you, but the goal is to get to a single answer or to converge in your thinking, to come to private agreement about what those words mean, get your team to converge on something. And it's important to know this as managers, and I'm going to speak to you that way now. It's important to know what kind of creative thinking you're trying to get to. If you need something truly divergent, we don't know. If you need a flow of ideas for possibilities, if you need convergent, we know there's an answer, we just don't know what it is yet and can't get to it. Is this making sense? Is this relevant, useful? Okay. Here we go with divergent thinking. Common household item. I'm going to give you a chance to write down. I think it might work better. Jot down some other uses, alternate uses. Who's ready to toss out some ideas? Yes.
Doorstop.
Doorstop.
Increasing the noise made by garbage disposal.
Musical instrument.
Musical instrument. Nice.
Tool. Garden tool.
Yes.
Catapult.
Catapult. Yeah.
Parlor trick.
A parlor trick. Something to hang on your nose.
Mirror.
A mirror.
Cooking drugs for injection.
An egg carrier. Crowbar.
Oh, good.
Pry bar.
Gum scraper on the hardwood floors.
Oh, yeah.
Kids
Yeah.
eat gum. Car starter.
So it's my sense that your creativity revived a little bit or expanded a little bit. Did you experience any change in your process as you thought of ideas? Were you aware of anything different doing this a third time?
There were more recollections of seeing it used differently that came to mind as opposed to imagining what those lines might have been.
You can quote do more with a spoon, something that you know you can put in your hand. Well, what can I do with it once it's there? Bang it. Yeah. One measure, there's a career testing group, aptitude group, that measures the flow of ideas, which is an aptitude. Some people do it more easily than others. Some of you were, scribbling down. Others looked at me like, oh, come on, get off this. I'm done with the ideas. It's an aptitude to be able to do that. It can improve and change with practice. Some people, and think of it a moment, some professions are built around the ability to come up with lots of ideas. Think elementary school teacher, salespeople, advertising, where you need that flow of ideas readily. It can get in the way. Sometimes, do any of you find yourself trying to work on a problem, but you have ideas intruding? Even as you're doing one thing, you think, oh, maybe it could be this, or maybe something else, or oh, I know I could do it this way. Sometimes that flow can get in the way. And sometimes, referring to the gentleman's comment about seeing an object that's familiar, that you can put in your hand, makes it easier for a lot of us to come up with ideas. If I gave you a line drawing, a little picture, and asked you what could be going on, you might not have had an easy time with those simple line drawings, but wow, when you see a picture, all kinds of possibilities come to you. I'll say it again, I think the whole field of creativity and creativity measurement is about to explode. It's about to really come off. You'll be hearing much more about creativity soon. And I think I just blew the next exercise. On your, in the very back of your folder is a little image. Quick snapshot. What do you see? Anything?
See what I just saw on the screen.
Yeah.
Can't get it out of your head. Can't get it out of your head now. Yeah. Yeah. Reclining figure, maybe? This, this image is set up to trick your brain because our eyes go toward the white space in the middle. We're biologically, physiologically wired to do that. And yet the image doesn't make a lot of sense. Looking at it, you think, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Do you, and sorry, Dan, I forgot to cue you on that. Okay. When you, here it comes, the real thing. Get ready. There's no way you could have extrapolated the rest of that cow, although it is possible to look at that little square, the rectangle that you have, and see the face of a cow. And some people do. I reordered a couple of these slides and I forgot that I'd changed, put the spoon in there, so I lost my own cue. Here's my question, and it's a little subtle. How did it feel, if you remember, how did it feel when you saw the juxtaposition of the little rectangle with the rest of the animal? When you, the moment that you saw, oh, the face of the cow, and
It's a cow.
Let me probe a little bit further. Was that recognition a good feeling?
Yeah.
Pleasant?
Pleasant, yeah.
Pleasant.
Oh, am I losing my mind? No, this doesn't look like anything.
It was a sudden drop in energy.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying so hard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, okay. I believe that moment of recognition is relief. I experienced it when I saw that. And that the very act of making a connection like that has a, quote, good feeling associated with it. When we got a particularly good idea and you knew it was kind of a good idea and a fun idea when you were generating possibilities, something happened in your brain. It was like, oh, and maybe a little smile came to your mouth when you wrote something down. That's what I'm talking about when I say we're wired to innovate. We don't just do it to do it. It's rewarded. It's rewarded in our brain with a good feeling. I mean, a little juice, some endorphin, probably dopamine, is released when we do that. And that's what creates the good feeling. That's conjecture. They're guessing that it's dopamine. It's probably more than one, in fact. But there is something happening good.
But Janet, let me ask you this.
Yes.
I mean, you gave us this half a picture, right?
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen this before.
Yes.
We haven't seen that picture before.
Yes.
So when I see this for the first time, there's no way I'm going to guess this is a part of the cow.
Oh.
Right?
I demur.
I mean, the first time I see is, okay, it's a looks like a body of water, and then there's a land around it. So it could have been that this is actually the body of water with land around it, but you
attached the cow to it.
Attach the cow to make it look like a cow, right? So
yeah,
that's a different other way to look at it.
Yeah.
But I don't think you did that.
There's always one. I did not do it. I did not do that. I could have, and that's, interestingly, that's another creative exercise. We might get to that, where you take a little drawing and expand it on your own. I did not do that with this cow. Somebody else did. And I demur. I did look at that picture because I had been told that there was another way to see it. And that when I saw that other way, it would be unmistakable, no doubt at all, clearly what it was. And it frustrated me terribly. And I was anxious and angry over some other things. And I looked at it and said, I don't know what you are. I was crying. I was really upset. And suddenly I saw it. When I was, in fact, at the end of my rope, out of ideas completely, I saw the cow. And then I looked and I saw the rest of it. So, another guy, did any of you see, sorry I blew it for you, but did anybody see the cow right away? When you looked at that little drawing, did you see a face of a cow? Yeah. A couple of people have. I don't know if they'd be an interesting population. Who looks at things that way? I don't know.
I'm gonna start looking at things that way.
If you look under, if you do an internet search under hidden pictures.
You know the picture of the old woman and the
Yes, they've expanded. Yes, old woman, young woman, the rabbit. Yeah. Hidden pictures, there are many on the internet. Yeah.
Dairy farmers would recognize
Any farm kids here? Any kids who grew up on farms? Context, yeah. I don't know. Lots of times when people have seen this in groups, I'll hear like what I heard from Gina. Oh, I see it. And it's like, and it might be relaxation, something lets go. Anyway, thanks for that. I have here, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit with you to show you, earlier I mentioned creativity explosions are happening with brain function testing. In this array, you will notice less common and more desired qualities. These are for managers. Creative problem solving, way up there. Leadership communication.
it's the two axes. It's the two axes that seem to be kind of aligned. Whether they're common or desired.
Yeah, I think those
are
are,
the two axes that.
yeah. More common, less desired.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, got it.
This is not mine either, but I want to hear this about sneaking
Less
colors.
Janet, is this the chart for the industry? Or, I mean, what is this relative to? Is this relative to job market? Is this relative to something else?
Relative to job market.
Like
Thank you.
Fortune 500 companies or
Yeah.
entrepreneurial companies?
Fortune 5.
Oh.
Industry.
Government.
So what?
Government.
Government?
Might fit very well with
I
government.
don't know, strategic thinking is pretty high on the value list
Yeah, that's true.
for government. So,
I would agree. I would agree with the chart if you're discussing marketing and salespeople in commercial,
Mm-hmm.
because they're all bottom left.
Mm-hmm.
For the executive side of the world, yeah, probably fairly. They would probably like to see. Unfortunately, most of them also on the left side, but on the right side would be a nice place to shoot.
I'm very surprised to see this affability up that corner.
Uh-huh.
Things are, the world is changing. The environment that we're in. Every day, you have to be able to adapt to change the environment.
Yeah.
So, how that less desired attribute.
You would move it over into the more desired realm, definitely. Yeah. Do you think it's more common or less common, adaptability?
That's relative. That's very relative.
Less.
Yeah, it's less.
Less.
Adaptability in general could be elevated quite a bit.
People who succeed, it'll be more common, more desired. People who are able to adapt, they're the ones who succeed, right? For successful people, adaptability would be more desired. For the other folks, like, I don't know. I mean, but I don't agree with the way it's positioned in the left side.
Entrepreneurship
Doesn't
is
belong.
more
Adaptability doesn't belong where it is. Definitely need more. Yeah.
As his motivation drive.
Sawash's comment is that adaptability, which is less common and less desired, belongs over in the more desired side of.
And I would argue.
Yeah, what is bad on this?
I would argue though that
Which one
in the
is
real
not
world,
more desired?
that would be the non-fair world.
it's relative to one another.
You're dealing with executives, people trying to make decisions to get things done. Adaptability is not a trait that you normally would want them to have. That's when they start, what's it called, waffling, vacillating, and refusing to make. So it also leads to not making decisions. So I think I would agree with him on the federal side. Yes, I got to be over there because it's all touchy feely. But in the real world, I think it should stay that way.
But don't you think though, in the product space, companies who bring out products, market is always changing. People needs or wants are changing on an everyday basis. So let's say iPhone.
In that context, yes, in that context, I would absolutely agree with you. From a management context, I would.
Okay.
But no, you're absolutely right. You need somebody to be adaptive on the product.
Exactly.
Of course, if you watch the Steve Jobs movie, that kind of, yeah, okay.
Any other disagreements with the chart or things that you would move around? Hillary?
Motivation and drive. I would certainly elevate that, and I think that would go with any position and any job.
Where do you see
motivation, drive, middle bottom there?
Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah. Yep. Okay. On any job, they would be
You want someone who's motivated, has some drive. You know, unless you're, I guess, a total micromanager, you'd want people to be self-motivating because they would do better work.
They would be more invested, involved.
So the question is this wants or is this what's actually there?
This is wants. Thank you for your comments.
So who's that for?
Sorry?
Who's that for?
It was originally, I'll flip back to it. This was originally for market, for what the market wants and is looking for. And yeah, job
In general.
in general.
I would think this would be actually for a specific kind of position, as opposed to in general.
Yeah.
Depends on what you're looking for. I see all those things potentially possible.
There's a lot of weirdness
Very
here.
quickly, don't make decisions.
The gentleman made a very important comment, and we touched on it with adaptability, that many of these things cut both ways. That they're good depending on what you're looking for, depending on what you need, depending on how much of it there is. You can be overly adaptable and then you waffle and can't make decisions. Not adaptable enough and you don't meet the market, you don't meet reality where it is.
Has motivation, drive, has less desire.
Yeah, well, I wondered this. I wondered the same thing, Touche. Yes.
That's lack of motivation is what you want on an assembly line. If you're hiring people for repetitive tasks, you really don't want them to get off the reservation. That's what you want.
You want them to just do good, be fast, stay where you are.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
Not because the shift was on.
Yeah, all this can be positive for the right job.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And so I just was curious what specific job this is kind of aligned up to it, because I don't see it, to be honest.
It may, I said once, and in general, it may have been a targeted market. I pulled it because of what it said about it was actually business and it was project management related, but it said creativity up high.
Done right this time.
Good one.
Except the creative problem solving. Well, they're creative, but they're not problem solving.
Yeah.
It's sort of for halfway.
Sometimes too creative.
Yeah.
Even that.
Could it be this chart was created from the perspective of project management, right? You're giving it as a project from the perspective of project management professionals. But most of us who are in the room, we're looking at it from engineering. Probably that's why.
Is this like odds makers, where it actually have monkey flip darts?
It's right from project management.
Yeah, they say odds like monkey could do that. Pick the winner of the Super Bowl just as easily as Texas.
And it depends on the kind of project also, absolutely.
So you agree that this is really good for project managers?
Well, not necessarily, not even that, not even that, not even that. I'm kind of biased about the creative problem solving, but not even that. I bring it in to show you and to bring up exactly the point. We touched on it with adaptability, your comments, absolutely correct. You can have, for example, you have a problem. You can have, as I mentioned earlier, too much of a flow of ideas, too great a flow of ideas, and maybe nothing following through, no follow through on them. There's a point in the...
Analysis paralysis.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have for you in your folders, I reproduced the next 2 slides because researchers have proven that this image, just looking at this image, increases creative thinking. So I just presented it in the slide deck when I've given this in the past. I printed it for you guys. It says, oh, okay, what's your, oh, okay, yeah. I guess you want the green going up, yeah, or maybe sideways. Yeah, good point. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know, except notice those red arrows. Oh, no, don't go that way. Green. You're the green. And you're the only person going against the flood of these red arrows. Orient it any way you want. I hope you frame it and put it in your workspace and use it. And please let me know if it works. I would be genuinely interested. Mohammed, yeah?
So if you use the Gas Buddy app to monitor gas price, or if you're
Okay,
buying an
yeah.
airline ticket,
Yeah.
this actually makes perfect sense, because when you're buying ticket and prices goes up, it's usually on the way.
You want to go against? Yeah. Thank you. I will fix that orientation. Here's the next one. This is reproduced for you in your packet. So hang them up in your vicinity. Meditate on them. See if they have an impact on your when you've got a problem. And a third, I did not reproduce this one, but I think the slide pack will be available to you. So if this one really appeals to you, you can copy it yourself. I've been batting around the word. Question?
On those shapes.
Yeah.
Did people didn't just stumble upon them and say, oh, that increases kind of creativity? Is there some, why did they come up with those diagrams?
Yeah.
To increase creativity?
I don't know. I can cite the book from which the information came, especially if you jot your question down on a business card. I can give you the book that came from. It was a researcher in Britain, and I don't know, and I wondered the same thing, how he came up with that. I know that they determined red and green already, and maybe they were just trying things out. I wonder if this will work. But I do know they did. To some statistically significant amount. It might not be a great deal, but it was statistically significantly more creativity when people primed their brains by looking at those images. Give it a try, let me know. Creativity, starting at the beginning. This word I mentioned earlier, divergent thinking. Other words that you hear associated or in place of creativity? Innovation. That's common. Interestingly to me, the roots of those two words are different. They're used interchangeably by a lot of people. No.
Innovation used to be a negative term.
Tell me about that. I know that there were
Constitution time.
Uh-huh.
That when they talked about innovation,
Yeah.
they saw it as a very negative thing.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. The linguistic root of innovation is to alter. maybe especially for the purpose of refurbishing something. You're going to alter something that already exists and make it better, repair it or not.
Again, that connotation.
The root of creativity is to make. So here in creativity, you have materials or you have nothing but what's in your head, and you make. What wasn't before becomes. The entire process. So we touched on a little bit of this process tonight. We looked at the flow of ideas at the outset of a creative endeavor. When you want lots of ideas and lots of possibilities. We looked at factors for originality. We looked at factors involving flexibility of thinking. So some of you got more flexible as you did the exercises. You got more flexible as you heard other people's inputs. We came up with some very original ideas, things I haven't heard before. The entire process from the beginning to the end, ideas are generated, developed, and transformed into value. Sometimes that word value is useful. The word that you hear in there is something useful. It encompasses, it embraces, includes what people commonly mean by innovation and entrepreneurship. I want you now. Questions on this? Disagreements? Anything you would add?
The definition sounds like it might exclude the activities of children, being not particularly entrepreneurial or innovative, just making stuff up.
Yeah. As they get older, they innovate quite a bit. Sorry? Oh, thank you. I'm not very experienced with that, but I'd be happy to.
Actually, Laura, you're sitting right there at the table. You're fine. You use that one. There's a mic on that table.
Okay. So my question is, I noticed that creativity has two parts, this definition. It's the art of giving birth to new ideas. Lots of people have ideas, right?
Yes.
But many times they don't go any further than that.
Yes.
And then the second part, which is the discipline of shaping and developing those ideas to the stage of realized value, that's where the hard work comes in.
Yes.
And so I'll just throw this out for discussion, and that is, given the way that our culture is shaped, realized value has a lot of value to us, but in certain other cultures, it's the new ideas that have the value.
Tell me more about that. Yeah.
Well, the fact that you came up with the new idea, right, that has even a lot of value in and of itself.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
You don't necessarily have to take it to a realized value or a monetary value. That's kind of what that implies to me. So I'll just open it up.
Oh, I'm glad you made that comment. I'm going to take it someplace else for just a moment, if I might. Value, we think of monetary, right? But value can be intrinsic, it can be emotional, it can be, yes. So that, glad you brought that up about value. Yes. Ideas, cheap, a dime a dozen. You hear it all the time. Ideas, you know. Give me something that works. Give me something that I can.
It's the Edison quote, right? The 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration.
Yeah. And he learned his optimistic, I learned, you know, umpty-ump ways that things aren't going to work. Yes. I want you now to take that card out, that problem card that you wrote. And the first thing I would like you to do in looking at it is see if by chance anything opened up in your mind. Do you have any ideas or thoughts about that problem now that you didn't have when you wrote it down? Quick check. No, I see some heads shaking, yes?
I didn't think of it at the time.
Uh-huh.
Every summer, I do something with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I give them a project to do, and sometimes they get to create the project, develop it on their own. But I've never given them something to open up their minds first. So I'm thinking about coming up with finding something to do that first and get them into the creative mode. I just it was always a cold start.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a cold start, and they're kids, so they are okay with it. But maybe a warm-up exercise might be a way to go.
Little priming. Lovely example. Lovely. That being the problem that you, or maybe not the problem that you wrote down, but yeah, yeah.
Therapy later.
Anyone else? Any shift in anyone's thinking about their problem? Okay. Now, I want you to ask yourself about that problem. What don't I know? What do I not know about this problem? And here's where you want to let it rip. I mean, go crazy. This is like idea generation, flow of ideas. When you start thinking about it, there's probably a whole lot you don't know about that problem. But my question to you now is, does looking at what you don't know shift your perception? Does it open up a path for you to take? Thank you, Charlotte. Anyone else? Well, this was, at the outset, a situation that you were truly stuck on. You truly did not know how to go forward, and that you cared about, that you had some impetus to resolve. Any opening, or maybe? Maybe. Sometimes that's all it is just maybe. Remember, when you've got a problem, you are stuck. It's the nature of the beast. You don't know. Your tools aren't working. What you've known in the past isn't working. You don't have anything in your toolkit at your disposal. Every problem could be seen as the genesis for a creative process. And I call this, what don't I know, the golden question. For me. It gets me out of all kinds of stuck situations, slows me down, makes me look from a different perspective. Good night. So be with that for a little bit. Let's open for questions from any of you and any of our outside satellite folks. And I'll have a couple of comments in the closing. This can get, by the way, at this juncture, don't limit it to what we've done here at all. If you would like to ask me about anything going on that I can help with establishing creativity, anything. Hey, Gina.
How do you establish an environment of creativity, especially in the office, in the workplace? How do you do that?
Yes, a worthy question.
Especially an FFRDC like MITRE.
Yeah. I can answer broadly things to do, but one of your first questions is, to what end do I want this creativity? What is needed? And it's not that you're going to shape the environment physically much differently, but it may help you set up teams and work with people. Always know what you want to achieve with the creativity. Green. Plants. I'm quite serious about that. Another is when you put teams of people together, put senior and junior people mixed in teams. After a while, they'll bond and they'll want to stay together, break them up, and make them regroup with other people. They won't like it, but evidence is that creativity increases when you do that. They'll rebond, they'll forgive you. The best book that I read about that focused mostly on the psychology and working with people and their feelings was a book by Ed Catmull, the president of Pixar. His book is called Creativity, Inc. It's a great book. I'm with you completely.
Is that it frankly goes way beyond what you put here.
Yes.
It describes institutions and all the issues dealing with how an institution develops creativity and what the pitfalls might be, and
yeah,
it's a fantastic.
Thank you.
If I were making this presentation, I think I would add one, not comment, but if you go take the concept of brainstorming and start looking at that creativity, a lot of the people we deal with on a daily basis, before you ever get to this part about let's get creative, they're immediately telling you why they can't do it.
Yes.
All right. Now that's especially true with, unless acquisition folks are really good with this. I mean, there's nothing they can do, period. Just ask them and fill out the paperwork. But if reality, if you get some smart people in there that really understand the topic of acquisition, then they can get creative on how they can take a problem and work it through the system to get to the end. So I would add somewhere in here, you've got to remove the constraints of what's not going to work, which is what the Pixar people and other people have done. You know, get crazy and then, you know, wait till later to find out if you can or cannot do it.
Yes, the gentleman's point is perfect. There's really two stages of that flow of ideas. And in the first phase, it's like opening the spigots on your faucets. crank them wide open, and don't yourself and don't let any of your managers thumbs down ideas. Take them all. Take all ideas in. Then you begin to narrow down and funnel. And that's when you might want to bring in your SMEs and more experienced people who can swiftly let things go. They will be perhaps in a position to say to a junior team, yeah, that can work. The junior team sees a problem. The senior person says, no, that can work. Go ahead. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. That was a very important comment that he made. Read Ed Catmull's book. The guy is so humble, it just shines through. And this is uber creative institution in an uber creative industry, and he struggled to get creative and stay creative, and he writes it all down.
So we have another question
Yes.
from Twitter.
Uh-huh.
No, just kidding. It's Kevin Weinstein. We all know who Kevin is. So in process improvement, you are generally prompted to understand the rationale behind current activities before trying to improve them. Concern I have is that this approach could inhibit creative problem solving. Do you have any advice on balancing creative problem solving with being well informed about current processes?
Yes. Well, there's always don't fix what isn't broken. And that's don't change things for the sake of change. Don't change them for the sake of being creative if your processes are working. If you want a need to improve them, then you may need to go back and look in greater detail, kind of like when I was talking about going into the deep structure of the meaning of words. I don't have a more full response to the question. I think it's a good one. Do any of you?
We all work for the federal government pretty much here, and yes, all our processes don't work. So we do need creativity. So, but we're not going to get it, so it's okay. We're used to that.
So broken.
Feels that way.
Yeah. And maybe broken before it even gets to you. And then broken while you have it, and goes on broken after that.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, pretty worse.
Yeah.
We could be Cuba. So.
Creatively broken.
So I think a lot of times we are not really afraid of creativity, but we're afraid of like counter productivity, right? Because when we start a new project, a new team, if everyone has their creative ideas, then that's going to have a huge the storming phase of the project. It will be very long. And then our customer will start to realize that we're not producing that much value, even though if we exercise that phase, our potential for creating value will go up very high. But we can't, because whenever I see whenever we are starting on a new program or a new project, we have the team on board. They have a lot of bright ideas. And we know that if we implement some of them, maybe it will be very efficient or successful. But we can't do that because it will take so long, or at least the amount of time to establish that, all the results from the creativity. By that time, we are going to be behind, and then we are going to start, penalized for counterproductivity.
Right.
So, you have any suggestions on how to balance that? That's like a, from the project and program management side, that seems like the biggest challenge we have with creativity. We love creative people, but just that they can sometimes be problems, right?
Yes.
They're so creative.
Yes. Well, I have a book suggestion for that. It's a balance. It's a balancing act, absolutely. And the book is called Orbiting the wild hairball. And the wild hairball is all the brokenness, all mushed in the middle. And here you are as a satellite project, and the whole book is about establishing the balance of energy. I cannot give you specifics to your situation, but I'll bet if you read it, you would relate and think of ways. Orbiting the giant hairball. Catchy name.
Mechanics is much simpler. Try to wrap up because we're way over time. I know the satellite set groups are, some of them have to shut down even, so. So
Gosh,
go ahead.
I
That's all
heard, were we an hour and a half?
Just an hour. That's okay.
Oh, I beg your
That's
pardon.
okay. We're good.
Oh my goodness, on the website it says an hour and a half.
Yeah. I mean,
And
you're fine.
I'm
We have
so
time for
sorry.
question and answer.
Oh.
So it's good.
Oh, you are so gracious. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm really honored. You're so kind. I thought it was an hour and a half, so I was checking my watch, and then we were cool. And
You are totally fine. So,
thank you.
sorry? Oh, yeah.
Well,
with your closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm truly indebted to you. I urge you to take your problem situation and work with it some more. If you don't see any movement or any chink in the wall yet, keep working with what don't I know about this situation? The golden question. And do also, I invite you, you have my business card. Talk to me about creativity. Gina, I can come up with more things for your question. How do we become more creative? How do I help set that up? Just email me with your questions. I would be delighted to respond. I was uncertain about the audience tonight and how best to help you. My agenda was to give you some creativity experiences tonight and to give you just top of the view of how creativity might impact where you work, how you are. You've been a fantastic audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Janet. Very interesting talk. I have thought about going to handyman school for a long time, and I thought I would never be a creative person. So I might do that. You gave me a lot of inspiration.
I hope you do.
Yes, but and I can't fix something in the house also.
Yeah.
I need to go to handyman school to be creative.
Home Depot has classes, two
I might
hours.
sign up. So that is another level of creativity. Thank you so much, Janet.
Thank you.
So we have a small token of gift for you, a certificate.
This is Washington metropolitan area.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And also, we give a gift to all of the speakers, a newly designed mug for the Washington Metro chapter. Thank you so much.
Big handle, and this has got to be solid 12 ounces at least. Thank you. Thank you.
For lots of
Very,
creativity.
very
Thank you so much,
gracious.
Emilio. Thank
Very
you everyone
gracious.
for joining us and also at the remote locations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mohammed. Pleasure. Thank you again. Very, very patient.